Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back, students. Today is the online lecture number 12 of the Introduction to Computing course. Inshallah, today we are going to discuss the various communicating digital contents and the various communicating devices and protocols. It's a very different topic, but it is important because communication is everywhere. Computer network and internet is everywhere, so a bit of knowledge, background knowledge about how these different devices share information and data and different types of software and hardware resources is essential. And like it is very much possible that you people will be using these communication devices in your practical real life. So that is why it is important to know bits and bytes of how the digital content are communicated. So with that, let us see the objectives overview. So today, inshallah, we are going to discuss the purpose of the components required for successful communication and identify various sending and receiving device. So we are going to see what are the sending device and what are the receiving device and how they works, how they communicate, and what are the intermediate components that makes communication successful. We are going to differentiate among LANs, MANs, WANs, and PANs. And then we are going to see the difference between client server and peer-to-peer network. And then we are going to discuss the purpose of communication softwares, and then describe the various network communication standards and protocols. So with that, we are also going to describe the various types of communication lines. We are going to study the commonly used communication devices, and then discuss different ways to set up and configure a home network. In the last, we are going to differentiate among physical transmission media and differentiate among wireless transmission media. So with that, let us start our lecture formally. So what is a communication? Communication is like when two people communicate between each other. So this is called a communication. You transfer some content, some data, voice or whatever. So in terms of digital communication, it's a process in which two or more computers or devices transfer data, instruction, and information. So we have a sending device which sends the data, and we have the receiving device which receives that data, and between sending and receiving device we have transmission media that is used to carry the data between the sending and the receiving device. So this is an overall community view of the communications that is happening in our society. So we have iPods, USB, mobile phones, smartphones, tablets, wireless antenna, mobile phone towers, huge buildings having local area networks, and then private area networks. We have antennas, huge antennas, laptops, Apple system, communication satellite system, large servers, automobiles, gaming devices. All of these are connected together just because, and there is a lot of communication happening. So we are going to break it step by step. So let's see. So then what is a network? A network is a collection of computers and devices connected together via communication devices and transmission media. Advantages of a network include facilitating communication, which is the prime reason why we do networking. We can share hardware, we can share data and information, we can even share computer software, we can transfer funds, you can like submit your online electricity, gas, school bill, etc. So these are the various advantages of why we use computer network. So you can see that computer network is used because we do fund transfer, like you can transfer fund online from one bank account to another bank account, different devices can communicate together. We facilitate communication, like if you have a single printer, so that printer can be shared among various computer system. You can share information and data. You can share software, like there are various software where multiple people are working together on the same task using one software. So I mean, computer networks gives us a lot of facility and advantages, and it saves a lot of energies and time. So that is why it is essential and it is mandatory, and it is like very important to use them. Okay. Then we have different types of networks. The first one is a local area network called LAN, is a network that connects computer and devices in a limited geographical area. So if you have a school, if you have a university of, or if you have a home, so and the different communicating devices and the computers are connected together, so that makes up a local area network. Whereas a wireless area network or wireless local area network is a LAN that uses no physical wires. So nowadays a lot of people are using VLANs because it gives a lot of facility and it gives a lot of ease, so you can move around and still your laptops, smartphones and computers are connected together wireless. So that is why now VLAN are replacing the old local area networks that uses physical communication lines. So then we have a metropolitan area networks that connects LAN in a city area. So metropolitan is like a small city where different LANs are further connected together. A wide area network called WAN is a network that covers a large geographic area. So you can see here we have a wide area network where smartphones, satellite communication satellites, international office, mobile employees, branch office, different branch office, phone networks, main office server, ISP, internet service provider, and a lot of other devices are connected together. So that makes up a WAN or a wide area network. And then we have a personal area network called PAN. This is a network that connects computers and devices in an individual's workspace with wired and wireless technology. So individual can have an office, small office, and different communication devices and computers are connected together either wirelessly or through wired device. So that is also possible. Okay, so with that we have two types of networks called client server network and peer-to-peer network. So the configuration of computers, devices and media on a network is sometimes called the network architecture. So two basic types of architectures are client server, which is commonly used, and then peer-to-peer network. In peer-to-peer network we do not have any server. The computers have same power, same communication, same capabilities, and there is no client, there is no server, so all of them are communicating in order to share data, information, hardware and software resources. Whereas in client server network we have one powerful server having different types of software or hardware, and these facility or these resources are shared further by the client computers, which might be low powered computer system that like you cannot afford a lot of software and hardware, so that is why you use one server in order to share them among different computers. There's one of the important thing that is hidden from normal users are the communication software that makes up the backbone of computer network. Communication softwares consist of programs and apps that help user establish a connection to another computer, mobile device or a network. Sorry, manage the transmission of data, instruction and information. It provides an interface to the user to communicate with one another. So that is what communication software does. There are various type of network communication standards and protocol. The common one are the Ethernet standard, the token ring, TCP/IP, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, UWB, IRDA, RFID, NFC, and LTE. We are going to discuss each of these communication standards and protocols step by step, but we will be not going into so much detail because these are the topics that are studied in details in computer networks or routing and switching courses. So we are going to study them at abstract level, and then you can, if you are interested, you can further study them. Okay, so what is an Ethernet? An Ethernet is a network standard. So remember, it's a standard. It is not itself, it is not a network. It is a standard which every computers have to follow in order to communicate with another computer in a local area network. So Ethernet is a network standard that specifies no central computer or device on a network, which are also called nodes. So on a network should control when data can be transmitted. So there is no computer or no device that is a monitor that controls when and how the data has to be transmitted. So Ethernet is a network standard. Remember, this standard, every computer connected to Ethernet standard have to follow this standard in order to communicate. Then we have another standard called token ring. The token ring standards specify that computers and devices on a network share or pass a special signal called token before the communication. So a computer that has a token can communicate, and then after successful communication, the token can be given to another computer to carry on the communication process. And then we have a very common network protocol called transmission control protocol. TCP/IP is a network protocol that defines how messages called data and are routed from one end of the network to another. So here you can see the process of how communication standard might work together. So in step number 1, we have a communication software such as using a browser. You request a web page on a web server to be displayed on a computer screen. So the web browser is a communication software, and then the data is traveled from the client computer to the server computer in the form of packets. So you might have thousands of packets. So then these, in step number 2a, you use TCP/IP communication standard and protocol. Your computer uses the TCP/IP standard to establish a connection with the web server that store the requested page. Divide the web page into packets, provide an address of each packet, and reassemble the web page once it arrives at your computer. Router sends the packet over internet from web server to your computer. So in between the client and server, there can be many communication devices such as switches, routers, wireless routers, etc. And then in step number 2b, where you are using Ethernet standard, the Ethernet standard controls how devices such as adapter cards, routers, modem, etc. share access to the media, cables and lines, and how devices transmit data over the transmission media. So these things are defined in an Ethernet standard. Okay, so we further have a lot of other communication standards and protocol. We are going to I'm going to briefly discuss them. The first one is Wi-Fi, called wireless fidelity. It identifies any network based on the 802.11 standard. Remember, 802.11 is a network standard that specifies how two wireless devices communicate over the air with each other. So the Wi-Fi identifies how two devices will communicate with each other following the 802.11 standard. And then we have LTE, called long-term evolution, is a network standard that identifies or that defines how high-speed cellular transmission uses broadcast radio to transmit data for mobile communication. And then we have, you people might have used it because commonly it is used between computers, between smartphone devices, etc. The Bluetooth technology. So once again, it's a network protocol that defines how Bluetooth device use short-range radio waves to transmit data. So if you want to communicate with other computer or with other smartphone device, and the range is very short, then you can use this Bluetooth network protocol in order to share data and content. And then you have ultra wideband UWB network standard that specify how to UWB devices uses a short range radio waves to communicate at high speed with each other. So in this network protocol you use short range radio waves in order to communicate at a high speed with the computers. And then we have IRDA, infrared data association, that network standard transmit data wirelessly, and it uses infrared IR light waves. So here we have a lot of speed, bandwidth, and data is like you can transmit a lot of data, a huge amount of data over the network. And then of course RFID, the radio frequency identification protocol that defines how a network uses radio signals to communicate with a tag placed in or attached to an object, an animal or a person. So you use a tag in order to identify it and then to communicate with it. So here you see an example of how electronic RFID toll collection works. So in step number 1, the motorist purchase an RFID transponder or RFID tag and attaches it to the vehicle windshield. So here you see this RFID tag. The tag looks like this. You attaches it to the windshield. Here you can see the in a zoom fashion. And then you have RFID camera, a high-speed camera that reads this RFID tag. So in step number 2, as the vehicle approaches the toll booth, the RFID reader in a toll booth sends a radio waves that activates the windshield mounted RFID tag. The activated tag sends vehicle information to the RFID reader. So you scan it, read it, and then further transfer that information to the RFID reader. So in step number 3, the RFID reader sends the vehicle information to the LAN controller. The LAN controller, which is part of local area network, transmit the vehicle information to a central computer that subtract the toll from the motorist account. If a vehicle does not have RFID tag, a high-speed camera takes a picture of the license plate and the computer prints a violation notice which is mailed to the motorist. So with RFID tag you can like use it in a toll plaza in order for bill submission or for tax submission or road tax submission, whatever you like. So it removes all the manual work and save a lot of time. Okay, then we have another protocol called NFC, near field communication. Commonly nowadays it is used in smartphone devices. It's a protocol based on RFID that defines how a network uses close range radio signals to communicate between two devices or objects equipped with NFC technology. So two devices can communicate with each other that are equipped with near field technology. So NFC normally you can use can be used to send a lot of data using close range radio signal. So here you see different example of NFC enabled credit card communicating with a computer screen, or NFC tag. You read these NFC tag out of a computer or laptop, and then you can read it and further transmit it or for further processing. Okay, we have different types of communication lines used in computer network. We have dedicated lines, cable, DSL, integrated services, digital network, fiber to the premises, FTTP. I mean, it gives a lot of speed, the transmission carriers, and ATM, asynchronous transmission mode. So here are the different speeds of the different types of communication lines used in dedicated digital lines. So we have cables that range from 256 kbps to 52 mbps, and then DSL, ISDN. You can see here now that the FTTP, fiber to the premises, have a speed of 300 MB, and ATM amazingly have can reach up to 10 gigabytes per second. So that is amazing. So this is the technology that is bringing the change and bringing the people closer. So with that, I'm going to end this lecture. We are going to inshallah discuss more about computer network and internet inshallah in the future lecture. So till then, Allah Hafiz, and if you have some problem, do not hesitate to email or post your problem on the Google group. So I'll happy to respond. With that, I'll see you in the next class. Allah Hafiz.